He would begin to break down doors, leap through windows, and even come in from the roof.
Imagine sitting down on the toilet trying to take a number 2, squeezing your cheeks, and the whole leopard just get on top of you like this. This gotta be the worst way to die. What's good, YouTube? Today we're gonna be looking at the deadliest man-eaters to ever exist. Look, I'm already scared of tarantulas. I don't know how I would match up to any of these creatures we're about to see. Without further ado, let's get started.
Let's start with the most horrifying man-eaters on the list and slowly work our way towards the stuff of nightmares.
Let's get
Number 8. The spotted devil of Gumalapur.
Gumalapur, Shmalapapur, hand on the door. Buddy so poor, I don't know what you gonna call this thing. I'm not gonna go up against anything whose name I can't pronounce. There's gotta be some sort of lab experience. And this is number 8.
The spotted devil was the nickname given to one of the most feared leopards to have ever lived. In the 1940s, in the state of Tamil Nadu, India, the leopard would claim 250 miles of jungle as its personal hunting grounds. But the reason this leopard was so feared was for its proficiency in hunting humans.
Yeah, I can tell that it already hunted 15% of this dude's head. Why is he built like that? Like, these two are the complete opposite builds of each other.
Now, if this isn't terrifying enough, leopards are nocturnal hunters, so any attack that would be carried out would be in the darkness of night.
Yeah, like it's a smart idea to go outside at nighttime to go hunting or do whatever. Like, out of every place you could be at nighttime, why would you want to be in the jungle?
You would never see it coming. And 42 people across multiple villages would meet this horrifying fate. The spotted devil became so feared that after a while, people in the villages began to barricade their doors after sunset and refused to step foot outside, including to use the restroom.
So instead of going outside to use the restroom, y'all are just gonna fling y'all poop across the window? That gotta be so unsanitary.
Causing a health crisis in many villages.
I do the same.
And in its frustration, the leopard would begin to enter homes through windows, roofs, or by any means necessary.
What?
Snatching people in the dead of night and dragging them into the forest to be devoured.
Okay, at that point, you gotta move. You telling me there's no mechanism to go up against it? Like, at that point, y'all are just literally living in the lion's den. Hopefully that wasn't like a bad pun.
It wouldn't be until the famous hunter Kenneth Anderson was called for help that the leopard would finally be challenged. Anderson was a notorious hunter that specialized in hunting big game animals, especially those that hunted humans. It would take him 3 nights to finally come face to face with the cat, where he would be woken up in the middle of the night by a stray dog that he befriended that night, when it began to violently shake with uncontrollable fear.
Okay, when I see dogs on the way home from school, my ass get terrified as hell. What you mean? If your dog is getting terrified, you know this creature is terrible. Is there no assassin in your country? Why do y'all need to call on a random man from a different country to help y'all? There's no way it's that bad.
When Anderson looked up at the roof, he would catch a glimpse of the devil before losing it in the darkness. He then began to actively search for the cat, and after a few minutes had gone by, he would be alerted by a bark from the stray dog, causing Anderson to quickly turn around and seeing the leopard charging straight at him.
Did the leopard lose like a chromosome? Why is he built like this? I'm not gonna be afraid of anything with a limp leg. Like, that's like Stephen Hawking's approaching you at 2 a.m. Like, you're not gonna be terrified unless you're in Jeffrey Epstein's island and you so happen to be a girl. And plus, with the tongue looking like this, I'ma assume he wants to do something else.
And in that instant, he managed to let off 3 shots from his .405 caliber Winchester, killing the cat in its tracks.
Damn.
After examining the body, Anderson would discover porcupine quills lodged between the toes of the leopard's foot, an injury that prevented it from hunting its natural prey, resulting the animal to turn to human flesh. As for the stray dog that Anderson befriended during that hunt, he would actually go on to adopt him. Number 7. The tigers of Chowgarh.
I'm assuming this is a female tiger, unless this is the back of the legs and I'm just being freaky. Either that or this man has some insane pecs. Apparently tigers be working out in different locations.
This was a pair of Bengal tigers consisting of an old tigress and her young adult cub, which over the course of 5 years managed to accumulate 64 confirmed kills. This all took place in the Kumal division in India from 1925 through 1930.
All right, India, what we got going on? The first 2 animals belong to y'all. I'm trying to see different areas now.
A pair of tigers would turn a 1,500 square mile mountain region into their own personal hunting grounds. This terrain would include multiple villages which they actively hunted. They would alternate attacks from village to village, as this tactic allowed them to catch the villagers off guard.
So what happened to just getting animals? Is this Clash of Clans? Why are we targeting villages? And y'all telling me animals are not smart enough to pay taxes? They are literally planning against towns in India. That place is like when y'all decide which area you want to build your town in, I would assume is that y'all would clear the area of any animals. Hello?
And after 3 years of pure hell, the locals began to reach out and seek the help of Jim Corbett. Jim Corbett was an Indian-born British hunter who specialized in hunting man-eating tigers and leopards. But to catch this pair of tigers, it would take Corbett 3 separate hunting trips that spanned over a period of 2 years. Eventually, on his 3rd trip on the 19th day, he would finally come face to face with a pair of tigers. He headed to the small village of Kala Agar, which was the last place the tigers were known to be. There, he began to hang buffalo meat as bait in the hopes that it
Buffalo meat? You couldn't get any other thing to potentially attract them? I don't know. Chicken, turkeys? How big is the tiger that y'all are trying to chase that it needs buffalo meat? Wait, are buffalo wings made of buffalo meat? This might be a low IQ moment, but just bear with me.
would lure out the cats. While on post, Corbett would be alerted by a companion that they had heard the lions nearby. And before he knew it, he would turn a corner and catch himself standing right in front of the tigress at a distance of 8 feet. She was sitting next to a
8
large
feet?
boulder when Corbett would take the shot, killing her and putting an end to the attacks. He would then kill the young adult cub shortly after.
All right. I understand why, because they're gonna evolve. I watched Pokemon and do something crazy, but yo, bro, like, how is it that y'all have to call upon special people to do these jobs? Y'all not have guns in India? Because he was camping out for 2 years to do this. Clearly, it's not as hard of a task as y'all assume it is.
Upon further investigation, he would discover that the tiger's claws and canine teeth were broken and her front teeth completely worn down, causing her to turn to humans as her primary source of food. Number 6,
What do we got?
Osama the crocodile. This was
All right. Whoever named Osama, I'm assuming it's after one of the Afghanistan leaders. But if that's the case, yeah, you know this man is a terrible creature.
the terrifying crocodile that lived on Lake Victoria in Africa from the years 1991 through 2005. It is believed that this one crocodile has eaten over 83 people. It's
Damn.
very difficult to confirm these numbers since the crocodile would oftentimes attack people that were fishing alone. And
Anyone that's built like this, I'm sorry, you deserve to get chewed up. I mean, the face already looked chewed up. If anything, the crocodile was gonna help you.
of course, would consume them whole. There have been multiple instances where pieces of clothing would wash ashore from someone who had recently went missing. But sadly, ripped pieces of clothing were not the only thing to wash ashore. Sometimes an arm or a leg would too. The locals have even reported seeing children dragged from shore after attempting to fill their buckets. But the horrifying nightmare doesn't stop there.
You know what? I feel like every day I'm glad that my only fear in America is like being abducted by people or being robbed, and not the fact that I could go out, get some water, and a freaking crocodile could just chew me whole. Are humans or animals more scary? I don't know.
The crocodile would even develop the skill of capsizing boats by slamming the boat from underneath, sending the fishermen flying into the water, becoming easy lunch.
Y'all needed Steve Irwin. R.I.P. Steve Irwin. But if y'all had the crocodile hunter, this would not have been an issue. He probably would have got this completely figured out within the first 2 minutes.
This crocodile was such a menace that he would oftentimes just launch himself vertically out of the water and belly flopping directly onto people's boats, clamping onto fishermen's legs and dragging them into the water. And out of all the people this crocodile attacked, only 15 of them would survive to tell the tale. But thankfully, in 2005, the crocodile would finally be caught, where he was
Good.
then killed and made into luxury handbags.
And that's the problem with humans. You're telling me an animal that has took 80 lives is going on handbags for people to enjoy? This is a murderer, and you're spending 9,000 on it. We as humans are cooked.
Number 5, the man-eating leopard of Rudraprayag. The first attack came in 1918 in Benji village in the Rudraprayag district of India. This would mark the start
India,
of a
what do y'all
bloody
got?
and gruesome killing spree that would last 8 long years, leaving 125 people dead. During this time period, very few people would even dare to step outside of their homes after sunset, fearing that the leopard would be waiting for them outside, as he often would, since he preferred the taste of human flesh over anything else.
I thought humans didn't even like animals. Whole time we got species that prefer human meat. And this is what I don't get about PETA. All right, I understand. I hate animal cruelty. But dude, they're trying to kill us sometimes.
And when people stopped going outside, the leopard began to adapt. He would begin to break down doors, leap through windows, and even come in from the roof.
Imagine sitting down on the toilet trying to take a number 2, squeezing your cheeks, and the whole leopard just get on top of you like this. This gotta be the worst way to die.
Which were made from plants. And once inside, he would grab the person and drag them out to the dark forest, where he would devour them. After hundreds of people met this fate, units of Gurkha and British soldiers were sent in to track the animal down.
This gotta be the most accurate representations of British soldiers.
But failed miserably. The British government even offered a handsome reward to anyone who could manage to kill the cat. And many well-known and famous hunters stepped up for the task. And failed as well. But on the 2nd of May, 1926, the legendary hunter Jim Corbett would personally take this task on for himself. This would lead him on a 10-week hunt through the jungle, where he would track the cat down and shooting it dead, completing a task that many thought was impossible. And after examining the body, Corbett would discover that there was nothing inherently wrong with the cat. Well, nothing that would prevent it from hunting its regular prey, since it did have some bullet wounds from hunters who had recently missed its vital
so it's bulletproof. It has an armor.
organs. But other than that, it was fine. Corbett came to the conclusion that the cat had developed a taste for human flesh when it was still very young. You see, a cholera outbreak occurred years prior, and many people who died from the disease would be taken to grave sites where they were left unburied. And to a young cat, this would have been easy food. But when the disease inevitably slowed down, the bodies did too, causing the cat's food supply to dwindle down. So naturally, the cat began to hunt and consume the food that it had always eaten.
So why can't animals get diseases like us? Do you know how amazing it would have been if these horrible creatures could get COVID too? Like they had to take a break and wear a COVID mask themselves? Like how is their body types better than us?
Number 4, the man-eating lions of Tsavo. If there was any man-eating animal on the list that you might have heard of, this would probably be the one. The Tsavo maneaters were a pair of male lions in the Tsavo region of Kenya. These lions would target construction workers who were working on the Uganda and Kenya railway between March and December of 1898. The pair of lions would stalk the campsites and strike in the dead of night.
I'm sorry, this tiger gotta be missing a chromosome or y'all are actually terrified of poop. And also, why do you think it's okay to build straw huts in an area where tigers are roaming around? I don't even think I could sleep knowing that there's tigers lurking around. I don't even think I could spend the night at the zoo.
Grabbing workers from their tents and dragging them out to devour them. It's said that anywhere from 28 to 138 people met this fate.
And y'all
around 30
there?
Indian workers and an unknown amount of native African workers. For some reason, no one kept records of the African workers that went missing. That's why there's such an enormous disparity in the fatality count. And when the attacks first began, only one of the lions would enter the camp at night, taking one victim to be split among the pair. But as time went on, the pair of lions would become a lot more bold, with both of them going into camps and each of them claiming a victim for themselves. These attacks would be carried out on an almost daily basis, with all the workers personally knowing someone who had went missing. It wouldn't be until hundreds of workers abandoned the job site, which caused the entire project to come to a complete stop.
Good. Would a train wouldn't even go through an area where there's tigers? I wouldn't even want to be sitting on a train knowing that there's potentially tigers that could just jump and attack all of us. You know how amazing of a feast that would be for a tiger if a train full of people just had to sit there and endure it?
That the officials were finally forced to find a solution, sending in around 20 Indian soldiers to hunt the pair of lions down, where they would go on to completely fail.
Okay, how terrible is their aim? There's gotta be some sort of stormtrooper accuracy. So you're telling me one man could take down 2 of these creatures, but an army of y'all can't? It's literally just one animal.
On December 9th, 1898, Colonel John Henry Patterson would catch one of these lions approaching camp. He would go on to tag it with a high caliber rifle on the back leg and scaring it off, just for it to return back the same night, where Patterson would tag it once more, piercing its heart. The second lion, on the other hand, was an absolute tank. He managed to survive getting shot 9 times with 3 different guns across an 11-day period. And it wouldn't be until Colonel Patterson yet again placed the final shot on its head that the lion would finally be stopped. Today, these lions are proudly displayed at the Field Museum in Chicago.
How big are the bullets that are piercing it? This is making me think, imagine if dinosaurs existed in today's society. I don't think we would actually progress and make bullets. Like, I think they would just roam the earth.
Number 3, Gustav. Gustav is a large Nile crocodile from Burundi, Africa. He is rumored to have killed anywhere from 200 to 300 people on the banks of the Rusizi River.
Yeah, Burundi, you will never see me. 200, 300 people, and y'all are still comfortable with this animal. This man is taking some of y'all population. Call Steve Irwin, because this is not making any sense.
And in the connecting lake of Tanganyika. All the locals in Burundi claim to know someone that has been taken by Gustav, or someone who has simply vanished without a trace.
Wow.
A few locals have even been attacked by him and were lucky enough to live to tell the tale.
Wow.
Their bodies left covered in scars from the encounter.
Can y'all imagine like the Thanksgiving dinners that they have? Hey there, son. What has everyone been doing over the weekend? Like, anyone seen Gustav? Like, there's not a reason why an animal should be a cause of talk, a conversation when you're around your family. Someone has to do something.
Here's the terrifying part. Not only is Gustav a man-eater who takes every opportunity he can to devour humans, he is also not a typical size for a Nile crocodile. In fact, he is much, much bigger. Being the largest Nile
And that's why you need much, much bigger guns. Get a shotgun, get his dumb ass down, bruh.
crocodile to have ever been recorded. Here's an image of your average size Nile crocodiles, and here is Gustav. Scientists have speculated that his unusually large size prevents him from hunting his regular prey, so he had to resort to other means.
All right, they just run away. There's no way fat animals are fast too.
Gustav is easily identified by the scars across his body, the scars that were left after being shot multiple times with an
And surviving?
AK-47.
Hey, I can't even call these animals anymore. They're monsters. You're telling me it's surviving AK-47 bullets? Y'all sure this is not a government experiment?
Attempts on his life, the locals are now convinced that his hide is so thick that it actually makes him bulletproof. To this
Wow.
day, there have been multiple attempts to capture him, but have all ended in failure. And as far as we know, he still roams the river to this day.
What?
Number 2, the Panar maneater. The Panar maneater was a male leopard who was responsible for over 400 fatal attacks, which were all carried out in the darkness of night. This leopard single-handedly terrorized the villagers in the Panar region in
Yo, Indian Africa. What do y'all got going on? End these animals, bro. Just send the army and just figure it out.
Almora district of India during the early 20th century. Years would go by with the leopard having his way and picking villagers off with ease.
Standing
the
up.
locals, gripped with fear, refused to even step outside of their homes after sunset.
Yeah, I mean, with a head that big, I'm pretty sure it's gonna alert anyone. Not even just animals. Like, bro, stay inside or wear a hat.
The leopard would eventually adapt to this and began to snatch the villagers from inside of their homes, dragging them into the jungle to devour them. The leopard was so efficient in hunting humans that the government eventually had to step in and offer some assistance, the best way that they knew how. They called upon Jim Corbett, the legendary hunter who had a
Another
reputation
person?
for killing man-eaters, as we already covered some of his stories on this list. But to kill this elusive animal, it would take Corbett multiple hunting trips before he would ever even get a glimpse of the cat. Corbett would travel for days on foot through the dense Indian forest.
Y'all better give my dog Jim Corbett like a couple million, bro. For him to do a job that 20 men can't do, he better be rich.
To reach an area where the leopard was known to hunt. And on his journey, he would even contract malaria. And that was still not enough to stop him. Once he finally reached the village where the leopard was last seen, he would set up a base on top of a tree, but not before tying up a small goat 30 yards away to hopefully lure out the cat. Hours would go by while he waited at his post, and as it began to get dark, the birds would be the first to give him a sign, as they would begin to act out in complete fear. And soon
Even birds? Yo, how tall can a leopard jump?
after, he began to hear something brushing against the bushes right next to him. And all he could do was sit and wait. And this would go on for a few minutes. But eventually, whatever was in the bushes slowly worked its way towards the small goat and killing it. And in the complete darkness, Corbett was forced to guess where the monster could be,
I don't know, maybe the goat?
taking a shot towards the direction of the goat, followed by an angry grunt. And for a second, the scenery lit up from the shot, seeing the cat falling backwards and hearing it run back into the forest.
Ooh,
The
you're
villagers were persistent and convinced Corbett to track the animal down that night instead of waiting for the morning like he wanted. He
got
told them that the
malaria.
only way he would do it is if they promised to hold their ground if they came across the beast, as they would be the only source of light that he would have. They agreed and promised. They would then begin to track the blood trail left from the cat, following the trail through the jungle.
Smart.
When out of the darkness, the cat would emerge, charging straight at them. With the local villagers running for their lives, and in their panic, they began to trip over one another.
Y'all better hope he doesn't go ahead and tell the story to everyone else, because y'all will look like wussies in front of y'all family, bro. There's no way y'all can go out this sad where this man has malaria and he's doing the job himself.
Dropping the torches to the jungle floor. And in the chaos, Corbett would take multiple shots at the leopard.
W. Corbett.
And killing it. He would go on to write in his book that if the locals had not fallen down and tripped over each other, he would have been left standing there in the complete darkness, and the cat might have been the one walking away instead of him.
Wow.
Number 1. The Devil of India.
There's no way you're gonna go against any animal called the devil, bro. We're not even talking about animals anymore. Imagine if anyone comes up to you and be like, oh, don't rock with that animal. It's called the devil. You don't gotta tell me no more. That's enough for me to move out this whole country.
This is the single deadliest animal to have ever lived, and would make one hunter an absolute legend. The Devil of India was a Bengal tigress responsible for an estimated 436 deaths.
This should be a national emergency. What you mean a single animal killing 400 people?
Which she acquired in Nepal and the Kumal division in India from the late 19th and early 20th century. The tigress was even entered into the Guinness Book of World Records for holding the largest number of fatalities by a single animal.
So we're giving animals awards now? And no wonder why they have 436 deaths. It's 1907. I feel like the only weapon we used to have back then are sticks.
Book of World Records for holding the largest number of fatalities by a single animal. The killings first began in western Nepal, where the villagers were tormented and eaten for 3 long years. Hunters would eventually be sent in to track the animal down, but she would prove to be too elusive. Eventually, the Nepalese army was called in, and they would succeed in scaring her away, forcing her across the border and into India, where she would continue to hunt for humans in the Kumal district, rotating her kills between multiple villages, picking anyone off who would venture into the woods. And since all the kills were done in broad daylight, this would leave the villagers completely paralyzed with fear.
I'm really like thinking about it. An army against an animal. Like this is some Godzilla versus King Kong type activities right here. I'm trying to conceptualize how insane it is that there has to be a government just coming together and like, hey, yeah, we got weapons, but we got the Devil of India in here. Imagine if someone was to tame this animal, society would actually be cooked.
Preventing them from working and leaving their homes. This nightmare would last for a dreadfully long 4 years, but eventually a handsome reward would be offered to any man who could manage to kill the beast. Many well-known and famous hunters would attempt this task, but would all return home with a taste of defeat. But in 1907, a young and unknown 31-year-old hunter would take this challenge on for himself. And surprisingly, he would refuse the money, as he
You see, you're an idiot. All of that for what? Bragging rights? Who cares about bragging rights? I need money.
accepted the task simply to help. He would begin this hunt with a 4-day trip on foot through the dense jungle before reaching the town where the animal was last seen. On arrival, he would be shocked to discover a ghost town, since everyone was locked inside of their homes, with the locals claiming that the animal had been roaring in the nearby jungle for the last few days. The young hunter would then proceed.
So how are they even gonna go for a store run? I can just imagine everyone being inside the house having fun, going to sleep, and then they hear a roar while they're trying to sleep or something. Well, I don't know if that's the noise the tiger makes, but moral of the story, it gotta be scary.
To the site where the last victim was taken, discovering nothing but a few of the victim's bones. While investigating, word of a new attack reached the village. It was from the neighboring town. The hunter quickly set out on foot once again, but by the time he reached the town, he would discover that a newer attack had just taken place. He would reach the new attack site and began to follow the trail of blood, seeing nothing but a small glimpse of the tigress on the horizon. But he was forced to abandon the pursuit, since nightfall was but moments away. The following morning, the hunter came up with a plan. He instructed the villagers to make loud noises by screaming and banging pots. As he began to walk through the dense
So y'all are cool with attracting the animals, but y'all want to be cooped up in the crib? How that make sense? I'm saying hell no. Y'all can bang the pots. If I don't got a gun, I'm okay.
Jungle and working his way to the grasslands at the edge of the forest, the villagers would begin to make noise too soon. The hunter was left with no choice but to run as fast as he could through the dense jungle, slipping and falling on rocks and roots, trying his best to get to the edge of the forest before the beast. Once he finally arrived and out of breath, he feared that he might have missed her. He waited for a moment, catching his breath, and she appeared, walking out of the forest like he predicted. He would ready his rifle and take the shot, wounding the animal on the back leg. As the giant cat began to climb over a rock, the hunter took his second shot and missed. With the cat over the rock and out of sight, The only option left was to track her down. Once he climbed over the rock to see where the animal had gone, she would instantly appear standing on top of another rock where she would begin to charge him head on. And in that instant, the hunter would let off his third shot, sending the animal from a complete charge to collapsing onto the floor. Laying on the grass, she would take her last and final breath. Upon inspecting the body, the hunter found that the tiger's top and bottom jaw were completely broken.
Do you know how much eating you have to do? For you to eat 400 humans, I'm assuming, of course her jaw is gonna get dislocated. She was probably like 80 anyway.
A hunter long ago, before she was ever a man-eater, attempted to kill her for sport, permanently injuring her, preventing the animal from hunting and eating her natural prey, resulting in her having to resort to eating humans as a means of survival. But after 7 long years and devouring over 430 people, the nightmare would now come to an end.
So she wasn't even gonna eat humans to begin with, but y'all, targeting animals for sport gotta be the dumbest thing ever. If I go into someone's crib and they show me an elephant head on their wall, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're so cool, bro. I'm gonna be like, what is this for? Get me out of this house. I never saw those things as cool.
The people from countless villages would finally have true peace and their normal lives returned to them. And for the young hunter who killed the beast, he would go down in history as one of the most prolific hunters to have ever lived.
That's
broke. He would be remembered for generations and would even have the first national park in India named in his honor. This 31-year-old...
Respectfully speaking, I'm not going to no national park in India. After seeing what happened and the amount of creatures y'all got, I'm okay.
Unknown hunter was no one other than Jim Corbett.
Yo, whoever Jim Corbett is, he better be rich. Anyways, YouTube, let me know if y'all know any crazier deadly man-eaters, if y'all would target them yourselves for any amount of money. Make sure you guys join us on Twitch, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. Waxer for life. Love y'all.